misused tax dollars. Joining us live this morning to discuss all of this, city activist and pastor Shannon Wright. Well, let's put the state test scores aside for right now. Let's jump right into that hearing that happened this past Thursday with City Council. Let's talk about that. So we had a series of questions that we sent ahead of this meeting, asking tangible questions like timelines, their proposed solutions. We did not hear back. What did you take away from that meeting?
So the amount of meaningful questions with regards to math scores, you could count on one hand. They were, for the most part, softball questions. Councilman Stokes said, it was a first step, but it's not the first hearing that his committee has had with regards to education. The first one was several months ago, and yet we're still calling this a first. When do we get to solutions? We heard very little about solutions. We heard mental health services and tutoring. Baltimore students, the state and the city, with the money that they put in, the Baltimore City Schools gets more per student than the average cost of private school tuition. Now, in the words of it, so Dr. Santelises was very good at pleading her case and making her story and all of that. So I would just say this. She said she expected it. Well, I expected her responses. You have a superintendent of schools that makes a hair less than the New York City Chancellor of Schools, with much less students and a much lower graduation rate. For some reason, this woman has been allowed to stay in that position, making that amount of money and not producing any tangible results for our students here in the city. Unfortunately, because of our structure, most of the board of commissioners are appointed by the mayor, and they appoint the superintendent, and only they can remove the superintendent. We need a little bit of restructuring because this system is not working. This superintendent is not doing the job. And to Dr. Santelises, if you say you're doing the best you can, if you say you're doing a good job, I'd love to see your children's enrollment in Baltimore City Public Schools.
And I'm going to play devil's advocate here. She says she's taking accountability for the scores. There's obviously a confluence of issues that have contributed to some of the issues and failures we've seen at Baltimore City Schools. What do you wish she would have said in terms of a solution going forward?
Well, first of all, you want to say the words, yes, she claims some responsibility. That's cute. The decline of Baltimore City Public Schools started before COVID. Let me say that one more time in a different way. The decline of Baltimore City schools predates COVID. So the question needs to be, when do we stop using COVID as the end-all be-all, blame everything on COVID kind of escape route? This superintendent has been here, again, longer than COVID. The schools have been declining longer than COVID. So although COVID may have accelerated that, it did not cause it. So we still need to be looking at getting some significant answers. One of the things that if I were in her shoes, I would have said, we're going to look to use whatever resources we can to help parents be able to get a proper education for their children, even if that means being outside of Baltimore City Public Schools. When you accept accountability for failure, and that's what this is, then you have to have viable options and solutions. The only one she has is let's continue to talk while the students continue to fail.
On the note of accountability, one question we sent ahead of the hearing is, who do you hold accountable? Are there students at fault? Are the parents, teachers, principals, school administrators? That question we have not received a response to. Who do you think we should be holding accountable for this?
All that you mentioned, including city council president, and mayor. Anyone that has, people want to abdicate their authority and their responsibility. Well, when the city signs off on a budget line item for the schools, they have the right to ask, what kind of performance metrics are you putting in? What are you doing? And when should we see results? But our mayor is not asking that. Now, interestingly enough, he has chosen to abdicate his authority to call people to the carpet and to be accountable, yet except for the Arts Commission, when he didn't have any authority there and said he wanted that person who was running that gone. Now, it seems to me if Mayor Scott, looking forward to his reelection, really wants to do something, hold Dr. Santelises responsible, give her a deadline, and if not, tell her you will do what you can to put pressure to have her removed. If not, an election is coming up, and we should remove Mayor Scott.
Pastor Shannon Wright, thank you.
Thank you.